Hey everybody, welcome to the Grow Your Life podcast with myself, Jeremiah Krakowski. The goal of this podcast is to give you a resource with action steps every single week that you can apply in your life to see results. Also, there's stuff that applies to business and growing your income. For me, I believe that if you grow your income, expand your territory, your reach, your ability, you can then grow your life, and they work together. If you improve your personal life, your business will improve, and vice versa. So you hear me talk about stuff that is for your personal life that you can apply even to business, stuff for business that you can then apply to your personal life, and so on. I believe that if you listen to this, you subscribe to this, that you'll see results in your life. And all I ask is that you share it with some people, that you let others know about this podcast, tell them about it, and that we'll grow together. This is part of our journey. My commitment to you is to bring you the best valuable content every single week, and you'll be here to listen. So let's get started. Hey there, everyone, and welcome to the first inaugural episode of the Grow Your Life podcast. Listen, if you're listening to this for the first time and you've listened to my other podcasts, you'll kind of see how it improves. This is a learning process for me over time, and I like to learn and show you guys how I'm learning as I go along with things. So this is actually my first podcast right here, ever. And what this is going to be is I do a lot of Facebook Lives and Instagram stuff. And if you don't follow me on my social media, my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, every week I share content with you about ways to reach your goals, improve your life, and improve your business as well, since I've been in business for a while doing that sort of thing. What this is kind of a way for me to engage with you guys on a more long-form style. On my live videos, I try to keep it under 10 minutes. That's one of my goals. And so what this is a much longer version of that. And I'm not going to introduce every podcast talking about that, but it's the first one ever. So if you're listening to this from the very first one, I want to tell you this. You don't have to listen to my podcast in order. I would actually invite you to break the order of the podcast and listen to the titles that you think are most relevant to you, and then go back and listen to some of the older ones. Because I think that you're going to be impacted more by doing it that way than going in order episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So right there, I that's how I want you to listen to this podcast. This is to help you to figure out how to grow your life, how to achieve your goals, and tools for you that you can execute to reach whatever goals that you have, reach whatever business goals you have, whatever life goals you have. I might also have some guests on here. It might not just be me, but from time to time, I enjoy talking, sharing, teaching. Something I've done for a long time now, and it's something I'm going to continue to do. If you haven't, check out my website as well. Wherever you found this, drop a line on social media. Let me know what you think, where you found me, all that kind of jazz. But let's go into this. This very first episode is about something that I learned about 2 years ago that had one of the biggest impacts on my life. And it set me on a course that set me up for success and shifted the way I look at the world around me. And you'll notice when I'm doing as well I'm just thinking about this in my head. I think a lot out loud, in fact. This is going to be a little more relaxed, a little bit of a slower pace of me talking versus when I'm on video, you might have me like a powerful quote or something that I'm going to try to get as much into 1 minute as possible. I'm not going to do that on here. I'm really going to unpack and break down concepts and ideas and things that you can follow along with and follow along this journey with me as if we're having a dialogue. The way I'm recording this is as if we're having a dialogue, the two of us, and we're talking together, but unfortunately, I can't hear you talking back to me, so it's all in my head. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be very relaxed like that. It's not going to be this super polished thing. That's a tip for you guys. In fact, if you're wanting to launch a podcast, I started by listening to a ton of podcasts. and seeing what styles I like the most. Some of my favorite podcasts out there. Right now I love Ed Milet. We Study Billionaires. Those are like two of my favorites right there, as well as how I built this. And that inspired me to create this one right here. But the concept that I really learned, not to, get off on a tangent, but to come back here, that I really learned in the last year the last 2 years, is that no matter what circumstances we're thrown in life, no matter what it looks like the outcome of this can be, no matter what scenarios that we're thrown into in life, no matter what situations we have, no matter what that is. And to be honest, all of us have a lot of situations. I can't claim to know all of your situations. Trust me. If I tried to do that, I would go crazy to try to claim that I understand everybody's scenario. I know that people have different scenarios. And I'm going to drink some water here as well. This is, by the way, on video. If you're listening to this on audio, you can go to YouTube or my Facebook page and watch the video recordings as well. But if you're in the car, you're going to want to just listen to it, the audio form, which is how I like to listen to podcasts. I like to listen to them when I'm in the gym and doing stuff like that. No matter what situation we have, no matter where we are in life, no matter what life throws at us, we have a choice that we can make to decide what we'll do, how we'll react, and the outcome of those situations. And if there's certain barriers or roadblocks that are preventing us from being able to control those outcomes, there's usually always also ways around them. And this is a topic that I've firmly believed for a long time, is that we are able to create the reality and the world around us that we live in based on the declaration of what we say about ourselves, about our choices, what we choose to do, about the path that we choose to go down. And that when you talk negatively about yourself, you're also making a choice that those negative realities are your reality, which is why you start to experience those negative things. And just a little bit of my background, I grew up, I was homeschooled. Some of you guys know my mom, Sandy Krakowski. She has grown internet businesses for a long time. She homeschooled me, and I love her to death. She's awesome. But we had challenges growing up, and growing up in that, like, for instance, we were on food stamps when I was younger, and I saw my mom create the reality that she wanted by pulling our family out of that, by starting a company online, which went against everything that everybody said was logical or reasonable. And then from there has been able to create her own destiny in that sense. And so for me, I learned that, but I also had the other side where I believed that other people controlled what I could choose to do, what I was allowed to do with my life. And so I could see, I felt that certain people earned the right to choose their own destiny. This was the false belief that I had that was limiting me. I believed that certain people were special enough that they had the ability to choose their own destiny, that they could make a choice, but the majority of us aren't given that luxury because we're just not allowed to. We just haven't paid the dues. We just haven't done the stuff that would give us permission to create our own reality and our own destiny. And I actually held that belief for probably my whole life until about 2 years ago when I started to really test this and realize that's not the case. That's really not the case. And this is a message that, if you listen to some great personal development people, Tony Robbins, Rachel Hollis, two great people that talk about this very thing, that A, nobody can tell you how big you can dream, and B, nobody can control the choices that you make and where you're allowed to go with your life and what you're allowed to do, or how big or small you can live. And I used to hear people say stuff like that, and I would actually argue it. I used to say, yeah, but you don't know my situation. Yeah, but you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I'm living in. You don't know the choices that I've made that have put me here. And I actually was not taking personal responsibility for my own choices. I was trying to blame everybody else out there for why I was where I am or where I was. Until I realized, the truth is that we can choose the path in our life that we want to take. If you grew up and your dad always worked in the automotive industry, and everybody and their dad worked in the automotive industry, you'd think you had to start and go from there and work in the automotive industry. Or you can choose to do something otherwise. And I know some people, they have family scenarios where like you would try to maybe choose a different path. Maybe a parent wants you to be a doctor or something like that, and you want to choose a different path, maybe more of an artistic one. And you get some pushback from family, from critics, stuff around you. Is learning how to listen, be loving. I'm not the type to say, screw it all to everybody in the world around me, and I'm going to do whatever I want. I really respect people's opinions. In fact, I think that they have our best interests in mind. However, at the end of the day, I am the only one that can choose the outcomes that I will plan for my life. Nobody else can tell me that. And so when I learned that and discovered that, it unlocked a whole world of possibility for me that I didn't really know existed. I lived my life believing that the choices in my life were made up for me. And even so far as to think that God was trying to hold me back from my dreams. And so I was like, God gave me this dream. God gave me these dreams, but he's also holding me back because he doesn't want me to accomplish them. And see how kind of silly that is? I do believe in God. I'm a Christian, and I believe that God directs our footsteps, that God directs our paths, but I also know that we have free will and a free choice to choose the paths we want to go down. I've also discovered that if we walk down the path that God has laid in front of us, there's blessing that awaits us there. And blessings follow obedience. Not to preach here, but that's part of that. But I digress. I discovered that even though I felt this way, that I couldn't choose my own outcome, I felt like I couldn't choose my own destiny. But I had this desire to do something great, to change the world. To record a podcast just like this was actually one of my goals, and I had limiting beliefs that were telling me I couldn't do that. And over the last 2 years, I've gone through this journey of discovering the truth that I'm in control of the choices I make, the choices that I make every day to love my wife, to get up in the morning, to eat healthy, to go to the gym, to record video, to do a podcast, to be a good person, to not flip somebody off in traffic. Those are all choices that we have. But we also have choices that are bigger than us, and goals that are bigger than us, and goals that seem impossible. And when we can start to understand this truth that we choose whether we want to go after those goals or not, it's not chosen for us, but that we have the ability to dream as big as we want and then go after those dreams, an entirely new world of possibility opens for us. Literally what happens is we're living in this world. It's called planet Earth. We have a lot of people around us that do certain things and act different ways and talk different ways, and we all look differently. We're all beautiful and wonderful in our own ways. And I truly believe that God has made all of us unique. And he's also made us all with a purpose, and that our purpose is inside of us is that voice that, I wish I could do that thing. I want to do that. I want to do this big thing, this big goal that's bigger than us. And it needs to be even bigger than money or houses or cars or anything like that. Really big goals. We can choose to do those big goals, that no matter how we grew up, no matter how we were raised, no matter what was told to us by our parents, by our church, by our friends, no matter what the haters say, if they're the naysayers, quote unquote, no matter what they say, they don't dictate your life, because at the end of the day, you're responsible for the choices you make. And so that's why I realized, by not taking control of my life and having choice over what I did, I was actually giving up full responsibility of my life to the circumstances, situations, and people around me. To the point that I would actually go to a public place. This is kind of more of a story of a low point in my life, that if somebody gave me a bad look, and I would start to play this story, oh man, they think that I'm whatever number of heinous, like, terrible things that would come in my head. I don't even want to repeat them. Even if, which none of that was true, by the way. But I would say that person gave me a bad look. I bet they think that about me. You know, I had hair down to here for about 2 years. And I thought that for a while when people would see me with my long hair. In fact, I didn't cut my hair short until I actually completely knew that I had gotten over that insecurity. I faced one of my fears head on and beat it and destroyed it with that one. But no matter what the voices are inside of our head, no matter what the opinions of people are, sometimes strangers, we give so much weight to people that have no influence and no place to speak into our lives. These strangers that may have an opinion of me. And, you know, if you're listening this far and you have a negative opinion about me, I bless you. That's cool. But at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me that you have a negative opinion about me. If somebody has a negative opinion about me on social media, most people probably aren't going to get this far in this podcast, though, if they have a negative thought. So that's kind of the cool thing about doing media like this. People are listening because either they're skeptical or they just want to see what you're going to talk about. And I have a lot to talk about. So this week, I'm also launching my website as well. So stuff like that is coming down the pike. I am creating the reality that I want and the destiny that I want for my life and my family right now while I'm recording this podcast, against what a lot of people have told me, what a lot of people have said that I should do. And yet at the same time, I've also here's the thing. I used to focus a lot on the 1 or 2% of negativity. I started focusing on, I realized about 98% of people are actually pretty positive with the feedback they give. A lot of the negativity comes from our own minds, and we actually make it up in our heads a lot of times. You know, you'll hear one person say a negative thought about you or a negative thing, and we hold on to it as identity. It's kind of a fear mechanism and a survival mechanism, that it triggers certain chemicals in our brain that actually it imprints it onto us a little bit stronger than the more positive things. And so that's why you have to intentionally focus on the positive statements, because the negative ones will take hold if you're not intentional with it. If you're not careful that this is what's happening, the negative stuff that people say takes hold because of the physiology behind it. And so we have the ability to choose where we're going to go, what we're going to do, what we're going to accomplish, what we are going to create in our life, no matter what people tell us, no matter what situations say. You know, it doesn't matter if your family history said that everybody in your family became lawyers or doctors or teachers, or your family did nothing. In fact, they were just a bunch of quote unquote failures by the world's standards. That doesn't mean that you will be a failure. And a lot of people have asked me, how do you know what your destiny is and what you're supposed to do and what that is? It is that voice inside of you that you're like, that is something that's bigger than you. Those goals that are bigger than you. And when you start to realize this truth, that, you know, we're living in this world around us that has all this media that comes at us. You know, marketers are selling us that you're not good enough, that you're not enough to do what you want to do. So buy our product and you'll finally get the girl of your dreams. You'll finally get the guy of your dreams. You'll finally accomplish everything you could imagine if you just buy our product for $19.95. That's what marketers have sold us. And then that imprints in our brains that we're not good enough. And then what we hear from people around us, people even make jokes and stuff like that. And it starts to craft our identity that we have about ourselves. And when we're not solid in our identity, We allow other people to dictate that identity instead of us choosing that identity and choosing the path that we want to take. And so when you really get this thing, that there are limitless possibilities for your life. And if you study quantum physics as well, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but there's a quantum realm of possibilities. You can pull into your life the possibilities that you declare for your life and then walk into that realm and that dimension. If you make one choice, you're going to walk into this realm. If you make another choice, you're going to walk into this one. We know this. If you choose to drive on the highway and swerve your car into another car, a possibility is now created of a wreck on the highway versus you driving with a sound mind and straight and staying in your lane. That's an extreme example of that, but to show you it's a little more subtle in our lives. It could be as simple as, I'm going to listen to some personal development. I'm going to listen to more of Jeremiah's podcast. I'm going to listen to more of the videos that he puts out there, the content. I'm going to create my website. I'm going to launch that on Squarespace. I have my course, by the way, for people that don't know how to do that. The website building made easy for people that just want to create a website. I walk you through step by step and I coach you through all of that process in that course for people, no matter what stage in the game they are, or if they already have a website built. Just a little completely shameless plug there because I have no shame. So the possibilities that we want to create for our life are limitless, and we can choose by our choices. We have choices to make. And the power of choice is this. When you're presented with two options, you don't weigh out which one is better. You actually just decide which one you want to do, regardless of what the pros and cons are. And that might be a hard concept to grasp for people. It was really hard for me to understand that. If given the choice of vanilla or chocolate ice cream, which one do you choose? And people usually say, well, I like that one more, so I choose that. That's not really choice. That's actually based on your likes, your feelings, and your emotions. Choosing would be, I just choose that because I choose it. And that's it. It stops there. There's no emotion. You choose it because that is what you're supposed to do. And for us to grow our life, to accomplish what we say we want to do, to accomplish these big goals that are bigger than us, that are greater than us, that are bigger than anything we could imagine. In fact, I have some crazy goals. One of my goals that I'm just going to put out there here is to be a billionaire. And I know there's a lot of guys my age that say that. I have that in front of me as a goal. And the reason for that is so that I can help people that need help in the world. I want to use financial resources to help people, to be philanthropic, to create tools, resources, technology that impacts the world around me in a positive way and changes the world for the better. But I know I can't do that unless I actually get to that level. And that's where my goal is. I'm aiming so high up there that the path I take on there, I'm hitting my goals, each one step by step. And part of that path to that journey is this podcast, is my website that I'm launching. Choosing that. My goals are bigger than me. For me, just being completely vulnerable with you, when I look at guys like Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, I respect them. They're amazing. I also think they're human. And they made choices that created a reality that sounds impossible to 99.999% of the world to be some of the richest men in the world. Not the riches just to have all the fancy stuff. In fact, you'll find most billionaires don't really have a lot of super fancy material stuff. They have enough to be super comfortable. But at that point, all their money goes into bettering what they're building, bettering the world. If you have ethics, if you have morals, for me, everything I do is filtered through a moral compass of good and right and helping people and love. So anything that I choose to do, I filter through the filter of my own love that's in my own heart. And out of that comes the overflow of that. And so I've seen that there are people that made choices that opened up possibility for them that were previously impossible. And I want you to realize this right here, that no matter what situation you're in right now, no matter where you are, no matter where you are right now, if your cell phone bill is gonna run up and you can't afford to pay your cell phone bill, you can't afford to pay rent, but you're listening to this podcast looking for some motivation on how to grow your life to the next level. By the way, I'm gonna get like choked up while we do this. I get choked up when I see stuff, and I get visions of some of the like people that listen to stuff. I get like visuals in my mind. There's gonna be somebody that's gonna follow me and listen to this podcast, and they're gonna pull their family out of poverty forever. And I'm not. This isn't like a network marketing thing. I'm not pitching you on the next multi-level marketing. I believe that no matter where people start, they can create possibilities for themselves that were previously impossible. Like I said, I get choked up because I know that there's some of you that are listening to this right now that your life is impossible circumstance after another, after another, after another, after another. And you're just looking for some hope. And I can say that hope comes when we choose to focus on and be grateful and have gratitude for what we have, and then choose to make the choices that will better our life and live our life better. And some of you might even just need to go back to church and pray more. For me, that had a big impact actually about a year ago. I grew up in church but didn't go consistently. I started more last year, and just really had a positive impact on my life. Just getting my mind right and then focusing and meditating in the morning, winning the day in the morning, for instance. And that's more of what I'm going to talk about in this podcast. Tools and techniques that you can use on a daily basis to grow no matter where you are, no matter where you're starting, no matter where you're coming from. And you might say, you saw my face with my cheesy grin and my speckled shirt with the yellow logo that says grow your life. And you're like, what is this? And you're listening to this and you have impossible circumstances in front of you. And I know that you're listening to this, and I want you to say that I want to just say this, that I believe in you, and I believe that if you make the choices that will change your life. I'm not going to preach a pipe dream that you can just sit around and make bad choices and it's all going to get better. That is not true. But if you can make choices and you choose, I'm going to leave this old life behind. I'm going to leave these impossibilities behind, and I'm going to make 1% of a better choice today that's going to compound on it. By the way, write that down. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. It's another book that I really like. I need to get some affiliate links for some of these too to put on my YouTube. But The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. He talks about if you have a big goal, like let's say it's a weight loss goal. It's a really easy one. Just 1% better each day. 1% improvement each day over 100 days equals 100% improvement. And if you get 1% better, it compounds upon itself like compound interest. Like if you have a credit card and you have this interest and then it has interest on the interest, life works that way. You can actually build interest on the interest of your successes and your failures, and they compound upon each other. And that's what that book is about. I love the audiobook version of that, is that. And that was what really kind of started me on this journey of realizing, wow, I can choose the destiny that I want for my life, the life that I want for my family. That there's limitless possibilities out there available to me if I choose to go after them. If I choose to live a life that everybody said was impossible, or if I just choose, Here's the thing. I also want to break this down really simple for you. If your choice is just to do 1% better, if it's just to, speak a little bit more kindly to somebody tomorrow. Speaking kindly to people is a choice to better yourself. It costs you nothing. It literally does. It costs nothing to go from being a grump to speaking kindly to people. Literally nothing. Unless your business is being a grump, then do that while you're on camera as a comedian or something like that. But we can choose to better ourselves. And there's so many possibilities that we have to then decide to aim. What's our goal that's bigger than us? Where do we want to go? And how do we get from where we are now, today, in this moment, to where we want to be 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? What are the things that we need to learn? What are who are some of maybe the friends that we might need to leave behind? That's one of the hardest things. Sometimes when we're changing our life, we actually might need to get some new friends, and we might need to leave behind some of the ones that are no longer serving our goals. Kind of like the ones that, they don't really speak life into you, but they're good drinking buddies. That was me for a while. I used to like to go out and hang out with those people, and I had to leave that life behind to go after and fulfill the destiny and the calling for my life. It wasn't that I hated them or that they were bad people. In fact, all of them I think highly of, and they're great people. But for my goals, for me, I made a choice that I had to go forward and leave some of that behind. And realizing that I was the author and the creator of the choices that I made in my life. That I had free will to choose which path I wanted to take. And I started to choose and to dream bigger and bigger for myself, and even bigger. And what you're seeing right now is actually the fruition of years, couple years, probably 3, 4, 5 years. 5 years is when I met my wife, and I really started getting my mindset right and getting inner healing for some of the broken places that are in my life. 5 years, this is now that. So you're seeing the highlight reel of 5 years of my life right now. And if you want to go back, you could look at my Instagram and scroll back through the years and see kind of where I've come from and where I've gone. And to choose and to decide that I can choose where I want to go with my life. That there are limitless possibilities if I choose this, not only to transform my mind, but to change the realm that I lived in around me by the words that I was saying, by the conversations that I was having, by the stories that I was telling myself, by being truthful and honest with myself about and taking personal responsibility for the choices in my life that I had made. I was leaving up to chance and other people the possibilities that I wanted for my life. And I was not taking responsibility for those things. And when I finally decided to choose, this is the life that I want to live. This is the life that I'm going to go after. This is the life that I want to build for my family. And I'm going to choose every single day that life. It didn't happen overnight. In fact, it didn't happen in a month or 2 months or 3 months. But it's been a journey of getting 1% towards my goals each day. 1% better, 1% improvement. And listen, I'll be the first one to say, I'm not perfect at this. I am still learning this right now, which is why I'm sharing this coming out of what I've learned, what I've discovered, what I've seen, and what I've applied in my life. And this that I know to be true. That nobody can tell me how big I can dream, where I can go, what I'm allowed to do or not allowed to do, and where my destiny is, and how far I can go and what I can accomplish. Those choices lie within me. And each day I have a choice to make the right choices that serve my goals. I'm aiming higher than my goals, hitting stair-step goals to reach the next level 1% better each day, and creating the possibilities that I want to in my life. I get a picture of the future that I'm living towards instead of the past that I'm walking out of. There's this phrase that I heard the other day. There's two phrases that a lot of people say that we need to change and stop listening to in our lives. One of them is, don't get your hopes up. That's a scam and a lie. Don't get your hopes up is a scam and a lie, because that keeps us safe. That keeps us from getting, eaten by T-Rex when we were, hundreds, thousands of years ago. That keeps us safe. Don't get your hopes up. Don't do scary things. But it's a complete scam, and it holds people back, and it keeps them in line and believing these false beliefs that they don't have control over their life. I say get your hopes up and have high hopes. There's that Panic at the Disco song. I have high hopes for a living. That's and I like that line in that song. Get your hopes up. And the other one is, when people are going after success, you might hear some people in your past say, haven't you forgotten from whence you came? People say, haven't you forgotten your place? Haven't you forgotten where you belong or who you are? And I started to realize this, that to accomplish the goals that I have in my life, I always remember and reminisce where I've come from. But yeah, I've forgotten that identity, that false identity that had me living as a smaller version of myself that was afraid to shine and afraid of what everyone would think about me, that was afraid of doing a podcast like this, afraid of putting myself out there, afraid of recording this, afraid of teaching, afraid of what people would think. That person back there, did you forget your place in life? Absolutely. In fact, that is no longer who I am. That person, that's who I used to be. But this new version of me, that's going after my goals, that's accomplishing my dreams. A, you guys haven't seen nothing yet. And B, I bless you. You can have that opinion. That's cool. But I'm going to do me. And I'm going to go after the goals that I have for my family and the life that I know that is inside of me, that I'm destined to build, that is different than the life that I was building, the life that was not serving me, the life that I've seen so many people build that does not lead to their goals and their future and their destiny. And so you might say, well, how do you know what your destiny is? What is that thing that's bigger than you, that's inside of you, that you want to do? And our destinies might start to change. We might have stair-step destinies. Your destiny might just be to get out of debt and to create a better life for your kids. And then when you get there, you'll have another goal that's bigger than that to go after. And it's okay to have stair-step goals like that. But your destiny is not to live, to be struggling, to worry about, what tomorrow looks like. For one, you can't control tomorrow. So stop trying to do that. You can't control what other people do, but you can choose and control what you do and how you react to the world around you. And when you realize that, A, I can't worry about what's coming because I can't control everybody else, but what I can control is my own thoughts, my own self-talk that I talk about myself, my own beliefs and what I'm saying, and then the vision that I have for my life. The vision and the ideas that I have that are bigger than me. And if there's roadblocks, things that are stopping you, I know some of you might have impossible situations. For instance, one that always comes up for me, impossible situations, is if you have a felony on your record. For instance, you have a felony arrest that does legally prevent you from certain things. It's a damper on certain things. However, what if you were to take your mess and make it your message and the story of how you pulled yourself out of that, and even against all odds went after that goal that you have for your life and your family, because it was bigger than you. It was bigger than that thing that got you in jail, that put you there. Because your goal was bigger than that, and you decided to not let a sentence be a life sentence. And even like, okay, another impossible circumstance. Let's say you have a life sentence in prison. I'm not sure if anybody can listen to this who is, but if for some reason you're hearing this, or somebody shares this, or you repeat this to a family member that is, you can still make the best of that situation. You can still change your mindset. You have the choice. The same choices that got you where you are today will get you to where you want to be tomorrow. And if you choose that this identity that is not serving me is no longer what I'm going to walk in, and these beliefs that I have about myself and my destiny and my future that are no longer serving me are going to be the path that I walk down, and you choose, I am going to do better for things that are bigger than me, for my family, for my kids, or just for your dog even, or for yourself. Let's start with ourselves. Let's do it just for ourselves. And filter it from this place of love and respect for people around us. I respect your negative opinion from those friends that might say, have you forgotten where you came? Or you've changed. You're different. And say, yeah, I have. I've been trying something new out, and I'm really liking how I feel. It's really cool. It's really great. I didn't know what I didn't know. And when you start to discover those things that you didn't know, and you try on a new possibility for yourself, you try on, kind of like trying on a new shirt. You go to the store, you put it on in the fitting room, you see how it feels. You might take it home. If it doesn't fit for a week, you can take it back. Try this one on this week, today even. In fact, I want you to break it down into just 12 hours and try it either this evening or this morning. Spend some time to get your mind right. Meditate, focus. Let go of all the things that are keeping you, that are worries that are inside of you, and really think of if every possibility was happening for me in my life and was happening to help me reach my future, how would I feel in this moment? And then choose the emotion that you want to have in that moment. Getting your mind right, and then living your day out just for 12 hours to see how it feels with new possibilities for you that never existed for you before. Write them down even. What are some possibilities that you want for yourself, for your family? What is one thing that you want to change to get 1% better this week, today? And then start trying it on. Put it on. Try it on. That possibility for yourself. That possibility for what your life could look like that is not what you've lived your whole life. Try on having gratitude, being grateful for the things that you have. I live in the United States of America. If you live in this country, you're more well off than most of the world. Just by default. Even at your lowest, you're still more well off here. Having gratitude for your situation. You can pull yourself out 1% better each day. You can create possibilities for yourself that didn't previously exist. You can create new realms for you to walk in. And it might just be like a pinhole. Like a tiny pinhole of a possibility that you look through it and you say, wow, what's on the other side of that? What would that be like if that was my reality? Whatever that dream is, think about that. What do you want in your life? What are your goals? How do you want to grow your life? That's the name of this podcast, is Grow Your Life. And I'm also going to go into teaching about business as well as personal development. I'm also launching here very soon. I'm going to do some mentorship with some people to where I can help walk you through this, and we can work together as a community to do this here, the Grow Your Life community, and to do that and to create possibilities for ourselves that didn't exist before. And if you're saying to yourself, I feel like everything is impossible and is against me, I want you to just think, what if it wasn't impossible? Try that on. If you knew you couldn't fail, what possibilities would exist for you? If you knew that failure not only wasn't an option, but actually couldn't happen, you would automatically succeed at doing whatever you chose to do. You were given 3 wishes to, or just one wish. I want to be a better father. I want to be a more kind person. And instantly you're now successful at it. What would that look like to choose that? Or what would it look like, for instance, if you got out of debt, or if you, left your job and started a new job or a dream job, or started that company or that business or that side hustle? What would that look like? How would that impact your life? Just try it on mentally. And try it on and see, what would the choices then be that I would make in my life to serve me and to get me there? What choices would I follow that would be different than what I'm choosing to do today, or that I've chosen to do for my whole life? And then you just start making one of those choices today. You start making one of those choices this week. One of those choices to create a possibility for yourself that didn't exist. Out of the entire realm of possibilities, a new possibility. And then you started to try that on and realize, this thing's really true. Jeremiah knows what he's talking about. And if you need to, listen back to this podcast. Listen to it again. Share this with somebody as well that might need to hear this. Comment on my social media. Go to my website. Read my blog posts. Watch my Instagram posts. I put motivation on there all the time. Things to motivate you guys. We're starting this journey right now and building a community, and this is starting that community. Grow Your Life is a movement that we're starting here with this podcast, with this community. And for you, the possibilities are endless that you can do. I don't know your situation. Like I said, I don't claim to know it. But I know this one thing, that as humans, we can choose out of all the realm of possibilities for us to make one choice that's different than what we've done before to better or move us towards our goals. I don't really like to say to better us, to make us better. That's what marketers sell us, is that we're not good enough, so we need to get better by buying this product. But what if you just moved 1% towards your goals? Because all of us, no matter what our goals are, we're either moving towards them or away from them. The choices we make are either serving us or holding us back from our goals. And every day when we choose to get our mind right, choose the reality that is our life, even if all outside circumstances are telling you this is not true, this is not you, this is not who it is, choosing the emotion that you want inside of you and then living from that place instead of reacting to what's being thrown at you. If you test this, you will start to see the improvements that happen in your life. You'll start to see 1%, 2%, 3%, 5% better every single day. And I have a lot of people that might be listening to this that have followed me for a long time. In fact, I hope they would. And I hope you can see, even just in this podcast, I've made choices. I was probably one of the most negative people about my own life and what was possible for me just 2-3 years ago. And now I've realized I can choose where I want to go, what I want to do, who I want to impact, the type of person I want to be, the type of father I want to be when we have kids. I don't have kids yet, but when we do, the type of husband I want to be, the type of leader I want to be in the companies we have, the type of leader I want to be, the type of consultant, the type of person who helps people. And out of the overflow of what's inside of me, impacts the world around him. And for me, I want to change the world and make it better. And so the very first 1% step of that was for me to record this podcast. I hope this impacted you. If it didn't, that's cool. Listen to some more of them. But I think it did. I think some of you are right now getting the breakthrough that you needed. That right now that you are feeling inside of you, you know what that choice is that you have to make. You know inside of you what choice that you're supposed to make today, tonight, to move 1% towards your goals. And then the next day, 1% more, and 1% more. Getting better each day, creating a possibility and a goal for yourself. By the way, it's okay if your goals change too. That's part of being human. Our goals change. They manifest. They shift. They're fluid. They're not always going to be the same, and that's normal. That's part of being human. But we can choose how we react to what's being thrown at us, and the choices we make impact the outcomes in our life and the destiny that we have. To go after our destiny, what was planted in us from the time we were born, we can choose either I'm going to do what everybody else said I would do, or everybody said I should do, or I'm going to go after the goal that I know is inside of me, that I know that I'm supposed to do, the destiny that I have to accomplish, the destiny that I'm supposed to impact the world with, that thing that's inside of me that will change the world. And if you do this, it's 1% better, and then 2%, and then 3%. I think it's a lie for people to assume that they're going to have these massive, night and day differences the next day. You can have that. I have seen it where my 1% usually was a night and day difference in my mind, in my thinking. And then my life would start to, over the next week or 2 or 3, change and transform around me. And so don't get me wrong, big changes happen by those 1% improvements, because you're just moving the needle 1% this way, 1% that way. That's one of the first things that my father-in-law taught me when I first went out to dinner with him, and I'll never forget it. I wanted to ask him for his daughter's hand in marriage, and he told me, the choices we make influence us 1% towards our goals or 1% away from them. And the choices you make for your life and for your future family, he was telling me this because he knew what I was going after, will impact you and your family for generations to come. And so I want to impart that to you, that vision, that you can choose that. I've done it. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen some of the most successful people in the world personally know them. People that have gone from nothing, absolutely nothing, to creating life, limitless possibilities, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars in financial wealth, and having grown up in circumstances that they should have been, that they should have never succeeded at that level. So I've seen it personally. These are people that I've worked with, consulted with, and stuff like that. And I've seen it in my own life. I always thought, man, I don't have this huge story. And I'm like, now I'm starting to see I got a big story, because I believed for the longest time that other people dictate that for me, I never wanted to take responsibility for my own choices. And what started to shift for me is realizing that I'm responsible for the choices that I make. I'm responsible for those 1% improvements. I'm responsible for the self-talk that I tell myself, for the beliefs that are inside me, the beliefs that are holding me back or moving me towards my goals. And so I want to impart that to you, that if you do this, now I can't say guaranteed if you do this, you will equal this, but this is one of those laws of reality that I know if you've probably been listening to other personal development podcasts. My cat just actually knocked down the tripod because she wants my attention. So I'm about to wrap this up here. I'm doing this right here in my office. I got my cat right here. She just knocked that down. That if you do this, if you make this choice, and you do the things that will move you 1% towards your goals, that you will not recognize your life a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. And you're going to come back and say, man, I was skeptical when you said that, but now I see it's true. And share that with me. Let me know that on my social media. I love to hear from people. Starting a conversation with people. I love to talk back and engage and hear what you're going through. Or if you disagree with all of this and you're like, man, my situation is unique, write me. Leave a comment. Let's start a conversation on that. DM, Instagram, Facebook, you know where to find me. But if you do these things 1% better each day, 1% of moving the needle towards your goals, you will not recognize your life a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. And 5 years from now, you're going to look back and say, wow, man, how did I get here? And you'll know it was because of the choices that you made, the possibilities that you created for yourself, the destiny that you chose. I am no longer going to be living in that place that is not serving me. And going after your goals with all that you have to accomplish 100% of what was planted inside of you when you were born, to do and accomplish in your purpose. Your purpose will become clear when you start moving towards those goals that you have. Listen, again, I'm not perfect. I'm not claiming to be. But this is what I've seen and I know to be true, is that if we start to move towards our goals, 1% better each day, 5% better each month, 10% this year, in 10 years, you will not recognize your life at all. And you'll be able to create a lasting legacy that will impact you and your family for generations to come. Now listen, if you follow me on social media, go to my Instagram, go to my Facebook, go to my YouTube, subscribe to this podcast, share it with somebody. Let's start a conversation. Read my blog posts, get on my email list, subscribe to my newsletter, all of that. These are all tools to keep you on track. And here's my commitment to you, okay? Is that if you do that, I will keep doing stuff like this to help you guys moving towards your goals, to helping you grow your life, to helping you improve your circumstances, to helping you realize the possibilities that are out there for you that you may never have even thought of or dreamed of. And that's starting with just the choices that you make. Those 1%, those 5% improvement choices every single day. If you do that, you will not recognize your life a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. Look forward to the next episode of the podcast. Like I said, this is the first one. I'm excited. Might be a different format in the future. Different, speakers, stuff like that. And if you're listening to this after listening to some of the future ones, see, I'm already looking at the possibilities of the future. I'm already seeing myself 40, 50, 60 podcasts in right here. I would say a year from today, I'm trying to do one a week. That'd be over 52 podcasts right there. And so if you're listening to this and you've listened to some of those other ones and then you came back to this one, this is where I started. And now you're seeing those results. And so look forward to this. Subscribe, listen each week. And I'm excited to go on this journey with you. And you're going on this journey with me. And us going on this journey of growing your life and going after your goals, going after your destiny, and accomplishing everything that's inside of you that you've been called to do, that your purpose has been since you were born. If you do this, you will not recognize your life a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. As always, thanks for listening to this week's Grow Your Life podcast. Head over to my Instagram. Every single week we do a giveaway within the first 10 minutes of when I post something on Instagram or IGTV. Leave in the comments, #GrowYourLife. And at the end of each week, we pick somebody who's a winner of some really cool giveaways that we're doing. So go ahead and do that. Tell somebody about this podcast. Subscribe. If you don't already, follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Look up Jeremiah Krakowski, Jeremiah Samuel Krakowski, or @JeremyCrack on those platforms. You can go to my website to read blog posts. I post new videos every single day on my Instagram. Listen, I want to be a resource for you that you can learn from and grow with constantly, that has more content, new content for you that you can apply in your life. And so that's my commitment to you. Share this with somebody. I'll keep delivering the best content that I have, and we'll grow together. Let's grow your life.